Short training here on and as much as anything to give you idea and thought about progress, especially if you are just starting out in coaching, you're thinking about business coaching, maybe you have started, you're just trying to put your mind around everything. And it comes from the question I was given this week. Hey, what's the difference between coaches that start, regardless of what your background is, and they get their first three clients versus the ones that start they don't get their first three clients, or it just takes them an absorbent amount of time to get any kind of traction. And what I'm going to share with you is meat. It is the meat and potatoes, just straight to it. You follow it. It works every single time that we see someone. And if I'm just being frank with you, even those that aren't as skilled as others still are successful when they follow some basic, bare bones principles that are not going to likely shock you, or maybe they shock you because so many times people think that they need to do all this extra brand new, revolutionary, use complicated tools and that's just absolutely not true. Sure, down the road, you can do that if you think that that's necessary for scale. But let's take a peek really quick. One, I'm going to give you just a few things to think about, and you can kind of wrestle with, am I dealing with this? Or maybe you're just at the starting point. I certainly want to avoid this, and so on. The first thing is um, they stop preparing and they just simply start having conversations. And say it again. They stop preparing and they begin to have conversations, even when things are clunky. Now, let me be very clear here. I'm not suggesting that um, you be unprofessional. I'm not suggesting that you blow a really good opportunity. I'm not suggesting that you go and you start having combos and you are completely, you know, ill placed to some degree. However, done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Those who stay stuck in neutral, they often stay stuck because they're not picking up the phone and they're not engaging. Almost 100% of the time, outside of a few outliers, those who struggle to get their first few clients, almost every time is because they just don't have either any or a very small amount of activity. Now, look, let me be very clear. If you go talk to three people, probably not going to cut it, right? I mean, please don't understand. You talk to the first person, like they're just going to become your client. You got to generate conversations. You have to generate activity inside of our business coaching system. This is what we do. We talk about a number of different ways that you can develop those conversations, and it's going to be a little bit different for everyone based upon your skill set, your gift mix, your background, your desire. Like if you have a background in accounting, versus if you have a background as a business owner who owned a plumbing company, like the people that you know and how you've interacted with them in the past might shift the strategy and the way that you have those conversations. We talk about that. We train you with on that one-on-one. And if you're on our coaching team and you are looking for clarity, get with your advisor, reach out to us. We want to help you. We will help you in doing that very thing. But bigger than that, though, it's still taking that first step, having conversations where you're just getting used to things. My daughter, who's 15, and you likely have had kids. You've taught them how to drive. All right, and it's just so fun to watch. She's the baby of the three. They're spread out. We've got older ones, and she's the baby. And once again, here we are in this season where she beginning to learn how to drive. And, it's just that elementary time where it's like, don't, watch out, hit your brakes, like elementary, very small things. Like, don't hit the gas really hard, right? Like those things that like you have and I have, you'll learn just muscle memory. But you got to get out there and kind of break it a little bit. You got to get out there and be uncomfortable. You got to get out there and just get it started. So be okay and understand it's a part of the process that the first few conversations that you're going to have, perhaps either A, you feel out of place, or B, it just feels clunky. Do it. All right. There's one. Two, when they're having the conversations, a mistake that a lot of coaches will make is that they will um, make the conversation all about business coaching. They begin to answer the question of what do you do? And in that what do you do, it just is all about business coaching. It's all about, just the tactical part about business. And here's the reality. Business owners are not buying business coaching. I know that sounds like, well, wait a minute, what now? No. You want to have your conversation to be all about the problems that they're dealing with. They don't care about your background that really, honestly. They're not gonna they do when you lead with the surface level business coaching and we help business owners. You gotta start truly unearthing the challenges. And oftentimes those conversations, the best ones are going to have really good questions. That's it. Um, and I don't care how you interact or meet with people. Yesterday, we had the wonderful opportunity to replacing one of our HVAC units, and those are never fun. You know what's going to happen at some point, and it was the season for this specific unit that controls part of the house. And in the conversation with the guy who owns the HVAC company, I began to ask questions like that. So curious, how long have you been doing this? Like by the way, he never asked me what I did for a living. Never. We got to that part, but we think that people care about, we leave with the whole, I'm a business coach, I help businesses kind of thing. No. How long have you been doing this? Well, 15 years. Oh, how'd that come about? And he began to tell that story. So how long have you had it? X amount of years. What's been kind of like the biggest challenge? Like we just had normal conversations, and certainly depending upon the environment, clearly he was in my home. So please, I understand. I didn't pick up the phone and cold call this guy. He was in my home. It doesn't matter though, because the conversation, that's what's important. And as you build the skill and the muscle of asking great questions, and that's only going to come over experience of time. You just get better, you get better, you get better. So if you go to a networking event, you get a referral through a friend, the person's in your home doing actual work with you. It doesn't matter how you're connecting. It's about the conversation. So you lead with their problems. You find out what their struggles are. Now, doesn't matter if those are the actual challenges that prevent business growth. Right now, we're just starting to build convo. And here's what we wanted to do. In those conversations, the goal, as we're connecting and building the relationship, is that we're wanting to give the transference of the aha moment. In other words, something that we say leads them to a, huh, I hadn't really thought about that before. Anything like that, here's what happens psychologically. It's just the way that God created the mind, is that they begin to see new thought, and they're attaching that experience to you. That is called transformation. Then you're able to go into the invites, so going further with them, perhaps doing assessments. That's what we do. If you're taking a picture, interest, get my words out, on our coaching system that we utilize called the focus method, is part of that is utilizing an assessment to help them to see what's possible and how profit acceleration actually works for business growth using specific business strategies that have been around forever and a day. But that's what we do. But before we get to those assessments, this is the challenge. If you're on our coaching team, be very careful. You don't want to make the invitation to those yet before you get them to transformative thinking, to where they see you as the guide. All right. So stop preparing, get out there and have conversations. Number 2, lead with their problems, help them to see what's possible, get them to those moments of, aha, haven't thought about that before. The third, ask. That's it. And so you're going to have 2 main asks with prospects, as far as I'm concerned. Again, if you follow our system or anything like it, depending if maybe you decide to go somewhere else to do it by yourself, whatever, hard to do by yourself, but nevertheless, 1, you've got to get them to an effective presentation. That's the assessment that we call the 100K challenge inside the focus method. Okay. But that is an effective presentation and more so a demonstration of how business growth works. So somewhere in the journey of the conversation, you're going to make an appeal, an ask to get them to that point. The second ask that you're going to make is, would you like my help with implementing business strategies with your business? In other words, you're asking them for the business. So get off your keister, get out there and start developing conversations, lead with their problems, develop a relationship enough to move them to thought of the aha moment, and then make the call. Make the call to ask them to go to the next step. The next step, either in an effective demonstration or asking for the business itself. There it is. Like those coaches that will begin to build upon what I just shared with you, they're the ones to answer the question, why do some business coaches that start out can get 3 clients pretty quickly and the other ones can't? That's the 3 things that are needed. It's going to come in different shapes or forms, different sounds, different tones, because we're all just unique people. This is the reason why. We have a coach on our team that he's in his 80s, and in less than he's 10 months in, 11 clients. So success doesn't even preclude age. It does not discriminate against background. It absolutely doesn't. When you just develop conversations, do it correctly, have an effective demonstration, and ask for the business. You got to do it in the right way, obviously, but those are the 3 elements that causes success. And it's all of that's wrapped up to one word: activity. If you're just in constant prepare and train mode forever, if you're constantly in thinking mode forever, if you are in constant I'll do it tomorrow mode, if you do get to the conversations, but you're making it all transaction based, and you certainly never really ask for them to go to the next step, you're likely going to struggle. So there you go. Work on those 3. If you're on our coaching team, get with your coaching advisor. If you're stuck, don't stay stuck and not say anything. If you're taking a peek at our system and our plan and our process, highly encourage you, if you haven't done so yet, to book what we call an Explore the Systems chat. We're just going to give you access to information and to resources and tools so that you can determine if it's worth learning more about or not. All right, there you go. Take care. Hope this has added value to you today.